If you're not using Ironclad for contracts, you could be leaving millions on the table without knowing it. Every contract holds renewal dates, pricing terms, and obligations you can't afford to miss. But good luck finding them when it matters. Ironclad's AI instantly surfaces what matters so you can act before opportunities slip away. That's why they're trusted by OpenAI, L'Oreal, and Salesforce. Find the savings hiding in your contracts at ironcladapp.com/podcast. That's ironcladapp.com/podcast.
All I was waiting for was the red dot. And not once did the coach shine the red dot on me. And I remember walking out of that meeting feeling lesser than, all because I wanted that red dot to be on me. Sometimes you're just not going to get the red dot from people. They're not going to notice it. They're not going to see it. And then actually a lot of times it may not have nothing to do with you.
Welcome to Paper Napkin Wisdom, where we share pearls of wisdom shared by some of the world's top entrepreneurs, leaders, and difference makers. Here's your host, Govind Jayaraman.
Hi, I'm Govind Jayaraman, and this is Paper Napkin Wisdom, episode 335. There are moments in your life when you know something matters, but you're not quite ready to face it. And maybe as you're listening right now, you can think of something you've been quietly postponing, not because you can't do it, but because it hasn't become worth it to you yet. Because the truth is, we all look away sometimes. We all distract ourselves. We stay busy. We keep performing until one day something shifts. In today's conversation, my guest, Edgar Jones, invites us into that exact moment. The moment you stop running, turn around, and finally keep the commitment that matters most, the one you made to yourself. Edgar is a former NFL linebacker who knows what it means to perform under pressure, to chase validation, and to live in a world where approval is loud and fleeting. But what makes this conversation isn't what Edgar accomplished on the field. It's what he learned when the noise stopped. On his paper napkin, Edgar wrote, "Keep your commitment to yourself. You will face it when it's worth it to you." And as you listen, you may begin to notice how this simple sentence starts to land differently, how it speaks to leadership, to recovery, to slowing down, and to the quiet strength that comes from defining your own scoreboard. So I invite you, as you listen, not to rush to meaning, but to let the meaning find you. Because somewhere in this conversation, you may discover that the thing you've been avoiding is also the thing that's been waiting for you. Let's dive in. Edgar Jones, welcome to Paper Napkin Wisdom. I'm excited to have you here.
Excited to be here, man. Thank you for the invite. I've been looking forward to this once you reached out to me and asked me, and I'm sitting,
I've been looking forward to
having the conversation.
Spoiler alert, Edgar and I are brothers. We've known each other through a call we do once a week, and we've been rapping for a while. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Edgar's got a lot of value to give, and you shared this wonderful napkin, which is really consistent with you from what I know of you. And it says, "Keep your commitment to yourself. You will face it when it's worth it to you." Why did you share that with me?
Well, I'll start with "You will face it when it's worth it to you." I'm big on movies. One of my favorite movies is King Arthur by Guy Ritchie. And if you know the story of King Arthur, basically his uncle ended up killing his dad, and King Arthur ends up running off, and now he's like on the run. So it gets to the point in the movie where King Arthur is getting ready to step back into his rightful position as king, and he just comes out of the Darklands. And the Darklands is the things that happened to him that he had to go look back on. And he's sitting by a river, and Mage, who's a wizard, walks up to King Arthur and says, "What did you see?" As in, she's asking him the question, what did he see when he was in the Darklands? And he gives her a bunch of mumble jumble. He ain't giving her no accurate answers. And here's what she says: "We all look away. even I've looked away. But you will face it when it's worth it to you. You will face it when it's worth it to you. That resonated so much for me because January the 10th will be 4 years since I've been sober from alcohol. And I remember when I started on that journey, I was doing it for so many other people. For the family, for the wife, for the kids. Nothing wrong with that. However, the focus was solely doing it for them. And when you're solely doing it for someone else, what can happen, in my view, in my opinion, is you can end up putting expectations on people because you're expecting them to say good job. You're expecting them to say, hey, I'm proud of you. And sometimes we're going to fall short. We're human. And when people didn't do that and say, Edgar, great job, I'm proud of you, then I would go back to whatever it is and whatever it was that I was doing. So I realized on this journey of sobriety, and now it's been really the journey of anything else I do, I have to do it because I want to do it. I want to change because I just want to be better for myself. And with that, I've learned that if my confidence is based off applauses, then what happens when it gets solid?
Well, I mean, that's a double meaning for you too, right?
Yeah. So I had to learn how to say, Edgar, great job. And then if someone else gave it to me, said it, man, it was just a bonus. And I appreciated it as well. So realizing you will face it when it's worth it to you, me facing the battle with alcohol, I faced it because it was worth it to me. Like I wanted to be better. I wanted to get better.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And actually, the double meaning is really important because people, if you're listening, Edgar, you have a past as a professional athlete. I mean, you've traveled pretty rare air. Standing on the field in front of 70,000 people, playing in the NFL for many years. That applause and meeting expectations is kind of part of what you needed to do to play in that arena, right?
Yeah. You needed to do it, right? You needed that feedback from your coaches. And I also would say that, there's something that we do in the NFL each week is we watch film. And one of the things in film study is they have this thing called the red dot. And they would shine the red dot on players that did a good job, like for the most part. Now, if you sucked, they probably shine a red dot on you too. But for the most part, if you got the red dot, it's because like you were balling. And man, there was one game I had like 6 tackles, like played my butt off. And I remember getting in the meeting and all I was waiting for was the red dot. And not once did the coach shine the red dot on me. And I remember walking out of that meeting feeling lesser than, all because I wanted that red dot to be on me. And I realized that, Edgar, sometimes you're just not going to get the red dot from people. They're not going to notice it. They're not going to see it. And then actually a lot of times it may not have nothing to do with you. It just may be with that person and what they have going on in their life. And now it's made me realize Edgar, where are you showing up in your life right now looking for the red dot out of someone? And
That's
what
amazing.
happens if you don't get that red dot?
Right.
So that's the thinking of the world I was in with sports. And, peeling the layer of the onion back a little bit more to say, what does this really look like for you in your life? But it's one of the things that as a professional athlete, like you love that, the 70,000 or the red dot or the coach is giving you a pat on the back and saying a good job.
But that's another part of it, right? The other part of it is, and I find the irony really interesting, 70,000 people can be up on their feet screaming, but you're looking for that one person to put the red dot on you. It's one person. It's one perspective. And, we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are.
Right, we see the world as we are, right? I put myself in the shoes of the coach as a leader because he's the leader of that room with that position group. And it really speaks to, at its core, speaking to the human heart. We all want to feel like we're connected. We want to feel like we're a part. We want to feel like we're needed. We want to feel like our contributions matter. It's why we tailgate. It's why we get into fraternities and sororities. It's the same reason why a young man or a young woman joins a gang. It's the same reason why an 80-year-old woman has 26 cats in her house. She wants to feel like she's connected, to something and that they're seen and that they're heard. So now when I think about that red dot situation in my role as a leader, one thing I strive on doing is making sure I connect with people by saying like, hey man, I see you. Great job. Awesome job. And here's why here's what I see. Like being very detailed in what I actually see out of that person and being specific. And there's an internal scoreboard that I've created that's a reminder of me doing those things as well.
It's powerful. So now, when did you, let's put things into context. January 10th, it's a big day. It's 4 days away from the day that we're recording this. You're at 4 years. When is that relative to when you left the NFL?
So I left in 2015. And when I left out the NFL, I realized there were some things I was running from. I retired because of the political side, just burnt me out. I told my agent, like, hey, I'm done. And I had an offer from a team, and he was like, what do you mean you're done? I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah, people don't usually walk away from offers.
Yeah. He was like, I need for you to think about it. I'm like, I've thought about it long enough. So for me, December the 1st, 2012, December the 1st is actually my birthday. And I've had some great and amazing birthdays, but December the 1st, 2012 was not one of those days. My teammate took his girlfriend's life and then took his life as well. And I was at the facility when it actually took place and happened. So for me, when I sit back and I look at that, I was dealing with the loss of a teammate. I just wasn't dealing with it in the proper way. I wasn't dealing with it in a way that was serving me long term. In the moment, it felt great, but for like down the road, it's like, dude, this is not a road you want to keep traveling on. So during that journey of battling with the alcohol and the pain pills, I realized that the person I was looking at, I was starting to get far away from that guy. And that was starting to show up in my work as well. Like my last year and a half, it was really starting to show up in my work. And to me, I'm a firm believer in if you're going to do something, do it the right way. And it was time for me to step away. And when I stepped away, I realized that I was running from a lot of different things. And man, I grew up in Louisiana, small town. The road I grew up on was a dirt road, back road. The school bus wouldn't even come pick me up. And one of the things about that road was the school bus would drop me off at the edge of the road, and it was about like 200 yards to my house. Every day I would get off that bus, I would take off running. And the reason why I would run was because there was this guy by the name of Mr. Bill, and Mr. Bill wasn't what I was running from. He was 70 years old. He had a cane. But Mr. Bill had this dog, and it's Rottweiler. And this dog would chase me every single time. And I remember one day that I'm running from this dog, and I don't know if the dog had a Red Bull or coffee or what in his system, but he's after me. And in that moment, as I'm running and I'm breathing, I'm saying to myself, I'm not going to outbeat this dog. I'm not going to outrun it. And I remember stopping and turning around and screaming, and the dog literally looked at me crazy and took off running. And from that point in time, that dog barked, but he never chased me again. And for me, when I retired, I realized there were some dogs that had been chasing me that I need to turn around and face.
This goes right back to your napkin, right to the heart of it. Right,
I needed to face it.
You needed to face that shadowland.
Mm-hmm.
And so, people who follow football know the story that you're talking about. And in Kansas City, it was pretty dramatic. And I can't even imagine what it would have felt like and the shadows that it would have created and underlined, the ones that were already there, right? We see the world as we are. We see our,
Right.
it's all about us.
Right.
So
And the grief and the grief, the denial, the I wish I would have. Because the interesting thing about that was the day before, I had a conversation with my teammate, and he shared with me some of the things that was just going through. And then the whistle blew, and it was time for me to get to the next drill. So I kept saying in the back of my head, I'm going to reach out. I'm going to call him. I'm going to follow up. And I never did. Now, would that have changed anything? I don't know. But now when I start to operate from a place of, in my life, that when I have moments of like, hey, reach out and call somebody, shoot them an email, shoot them a text, give them a phone call. Hey, they said something that was a little bit kind of, I just kind of wonder about what they said. Let me check in a little bit more. The urgency I have to do that more often.
right. And the lens that you're looking at it now is much cleaner because you've now taken care of yourself. You've faced that shadow. You faced it. So you said that when you started this, you faced it when it was worth it to you to get sober. You faced it, but you were doing it for them. So it was worth it to you to do it for them. When did you become worth it for yourself?
Can't give you a certain day or moment when it happened. I just had the moment of like, Edgar, this has to be important to you. And this has to be important to you because for me and my faith, how God has allowed me to continue to see another day and the people that he's placed in my life and the gifts that's been given to me and me not being a good steward of the gifts that's been given to me because everything is a gift. How can I cultivate that and take care of that so I can give back to the world in the most healthy way possible? And that was through starting with one of the most important people and the person that I can control, which is Edgar. But the exact moment and the time that I had it, I do know that I was in a point of insight for myself of like, this has to change and this has to change because, man, when you look back on your life and all the things that you've done great and the things not so well, and you still have a chance, you still have breath in your lungs, like, dude, let's do this the right way. Because you roll the dot.
I love the way you said it. You're the steward of the gifts that you have been given, and out of respect for your faith that you needed to really receive them. Now, those weren't the words you used, but isn't it true that so much of us, for so much time, we have these gifts and we don't receive them. We don't actually own them. And it feels like there was a moment where you just took ownership of the gifts that you've been given by first receiving them, realizing, hey, Edgar, you're worth it.
Yeah, you're worth it. And that lesson, I would say that lesson or the reminder of that, of being a good steward of the gifts is something that I constantly see with my kids. I mean, dude, I mean, my son, this is a while back ago, man. He's at a point in time where he wants to start dressing himself. So we tell him he can do it. He comes out of the room. Homeboy has a Nike tennis shoe on his right foot. He has a cowboy boot on his left foot. He has a Justin Jefferson jersey on. Then he has like a Raven Scully on. And then his shorts are like holes all in them. I don't know where he got these shorts from. And he walks out of the room with some sunglasses on and he puts his arms up and he says, ta-da! Like, he didn't have a care of the world what we said. So these moments of my children reminded me, man, of like, have your ta-da moments of the things that's been given to you and what's placed inside of you, just show up saying, hey, here's who I am and here's what I have. And I would say, you said something really resonated with me. Those gifts that's been given to us or that thing that's been given to you as a kid, and I would say as a teenager, right, as you are in your youth of your age, like you tap into that a little bit. Like you know it, right? You use it, you act on it. And then along the line, someone says something to you that tries to throw you off. Or maybe it's someone that's going through their own stage in life or their things they're dealing with. So they don't like that. And they're like, oh, no, like you shouldn't really go around changing your voices up like that. But they're like, this kid can like speak like a Western person, and then they can speak like someone from the 80s, or they have the gift of being able to like.
Kara here from the Kara Golden Show. If you're not using Ironclad for contracts, you could be leaving millions on the table. Ironclad's AI instantly surfaces what matters: renewal dates, pricing terms, and obligations, so you can act quickly before opportunities slip away. That's why they're trusted by great brands like OpenAI, L'Oreal, Salesforce, and so many others. Find the savings hiding in your contracts at ironcladapp.com/podcast. That's ironcladapp.com/podcast.
Shift voices. I mean, that is a skill. Eddie Murphy did it.
Right. Yeah.
Professor Clump
did it. Like he's been in movies where he's 8 characters in the
He's
in
8
the movie.
characters.
Right. Like,
so
crazy.
You have that and through someone else's beliefs or their experiences they've had in life, like they try to shun you away from that. And then we get away from that. And it's one of those things of, while you go out into the world and do what you need to do, it's one of those things of also continue to keep finding your way back home to yourself.
So when did you, and this is one of the questions I have. So you 4 years ago, you went sober, focused on doing it for yourself, and you went to do it for yourself. When was was there ever an integration period for you where you had to, become familiar with who you really are? Or is that something you're still doing now? Is that something you're still peeling away today?
Still, because we're always becoming. And each day, each week, I'm getting a little bit more understanding of how I operate, and the curiosity I have to come in to the day with of learning more about myself. I would say the part where I really started to like peel the layer of the onion back a little bit more was in therapy. Like I went to a rehab when I retired, and I went into the rehab because of the pills. 11 years sober, pain pills now. So I went into rehab like right when I retired, and going into rehab, what it did was it did something that's counterintuitive to what society tells us to do. Rehab slowed me down. That's what it did. Back in the day when someone would give a restaurant a bad review, they would typically give a bad review to a restaurant because the food was bad. Like, hey, the salad was bad, the appetizer was horrible. 1. But now individuals will give a bad review to a restaurant not because the food was bad, but the service was slow. So we've gotten to a point that we look at fast as good and slow as bad. And what rehab did for me, it literally slowed me down, but then it slowed me down enough that there was quality questions that were getting asked to me that it really slowed me down a little bit more to look at like these questions.
And your business up until that point was to move fast.
It was to move fast, but the job demanded it out of me too.
Right? Like react, don't think, react, don't think.
While the job demanded it out of me, there was also systems that was put into place in football that also emphasized slowing down. So the job demanded it out of me because I was undrafted. My signing bonus was 1,000 quarters. That's $250.
Yeah.
Like that's 2 crisp $100 bills and a $50 bill. So I barely got in the NFL. Like theoretically, when you look at like how I came in the league, like guys such as myself don't make it for a long time. So getting in and staying that long was a story in itself. However, the job of a scout in the NFL is the same job of a recruiter in business, and it's to go out to go find talent. So the the expectation to perform for guys that's undrafted in comparison to a first-round pick, a lot higher for the undrafted guys. So if I went out and messed up on the game on Sunday, I can vividly remember going into the facility the next day, and a scout literally is bringing in like 4 or 5 of the linebackers, and they're working those guys out. And I remember a scout saying to me, "Hey, Edgar, if you don't get it together, then you're going to be replaced." Like, he's literally telling me that to my face with 5 other linebackers they just got off the street that's hungry for a job. So that level of performing at a high level and what it demands out of you, like, you're literally operating and have to operate from a place of perfection every single day for guys such as myself, which is not realistic.
Because for an undrafted player, like for people not familiar with how the NFL works, if you're a drafted player, especially a high round draft pick, a lot of people have put their necks out saying that this person is good. Mm-hmm. So they get chances, not because necessarily they should get chances or they've earned the chances. It's because they've got 10 guys with their necks on the line for them. Mm-hmm. That's what they've earned by being higher drafted. In your case, as an undrafted player, no one's sticking their neck out for you.
No one's sticking your neck.
So you have to be perfect. You got
to be perfect.
You got to earn it. And I say this often about athletes at that level. You're the most secure, insecure person on the planet. Because 1 second and
it's gone.
Things could change.
It's gone.
You have to have a lot of confidence in your physical ability to perform, but you're very insecure because anything goes wrong and you're out.
It's done, right? Or you have a new coaching staff that comes in and you wasn't a part of that draft class, or you undrafted, or the scout that recruited you, he's no longer there, he goes to do for different teams. So, man, that training and me being in that environment was exactly what it needed to be to prepare me for moments now in my life. But I would also say, too, the systems that I talked about earlier, the one thing that the best teams do, especially when we start to get into playoffs, because we're in playoffs right now, we do something called walkthroughs. And we spend a lot of time in walkthroughs. And for the individuals that don't know what walkthroughs are literally you at practice walking through plays. Like in our jersey, in our helmets, sometimes we don't wear helmets, but like we would spend 2 to 3 times a week getting ready for the playoffs of actually walking through plays. And what the best teams understand that in order for us to speed up and do what we need to do at a high level, we actually have to take the time to slow down as well. So when I look at that process of slowing down during one of the most high pressure moments, which is the playoffs, because now it's like, dude, we're making a Super Bowl run. I mean, all teams that's in the playoffs are great teams, and we're slowing down, but we're slowing down to not just think, but to be thoughtful about what we're doing. So when it's time to speed back up, we're minimizing the room for error. We're being thoughtful about our approach and what we're doing. So what rehab did for me was it slowed me back down. It just slowed me back down because when I played sports, on the field, they slowed us down during the playoffs and during times, but also when I looked at my life off the field, I just was always going all the time. Like, and honestly, I would say that my last year, man, I mean, on contract, I was doing well. Like financially, it was a great time in my life, but I was also feeling like I was about to run into a wall. Like I was burnt, like I literally was burnt out. I was just going all, going all the time. Like I never learned how to reset and recharge and rest on my own off the field as well.
That's amazing. I really love this idea of walkthroughs, and I don't want to lose this. I want to come back to this because one of the things that I contend is that in life, we're all about performance. Mm-hmm. Before we went live, we were in the green room and we were talking a little bit about the holidays and how, I have a history of overperforming on holidays and managing the minutia and losing myself in those things. And this year, I felt way more present because I realized that the ultimate prize was all around me already. And it took me a long time to see that, especially as an entrepreneur. I think I always got lost in my KPI and forgot about the fact that the human people that I actually care about are right here, and nothing else mattered. Overperforming is something that really comes through, but what I really love about what you shared was walking through the walkthroughs. We're slowing it down in practice so that you can perform in public in the future. And how critical that was to the rigor of getting ready for the game were these slow walkthroughs. And I want to talk a little bit about the responsibility of leadership in creating the opportunity, the space, so that we can go slow and learn and support the growth of being able to perform. Because walkthroughs were one thing, but one of the things that you also talked about that was really important was the red dot, and how, because you didn't get the red dot all the time, that you felt that you may have earned it. One of the things that you take forward in the leadership lessons that you teach today and the leadership you practice today is making sure that people understand the role of the leader, don't you? And how important it is to recognize people. And I think sometimes leaders get caught up in the fact that that's a limited resource, but it really isn't.
Yeah.
The more you give away, the more you get, isn't it?
The more you get, and giving away is a form of, it's life, it's nature. Nature gives us more than we deserve.
Right.
So contribution is critical. And there's so many examples that we can see that's around us that shows that. So giving is important because now it allows you to also open up to receive. It also allows you to open up to receive as well. And I would also say, and this comes back to keep your commitment to yourself. One of the things as leaders that we can do is we can abandon ourselves.
Tell me about that. How does that happen?
Yeah, we neglect ourselves. We forget to take care of ourselves, whether it's physically staying active, it's mentally learning how to take breaks. It's maybe I need to have a third party or coach in my life that can point things out that I just can't see. And we all got blind spots. So we get to a point that we have this heart to really serve our people, and we care for our people. We care for our team. There are some leaders out there that I know, like, man, they go to bat for their people. And they do that so much, they neglect themselves. They neglect themselves. And what ends up happening is, what we can teach our people is, it's fine to neglect yourself as well. So like if my team is starting to see like, hey, Edgar's intentional on slowing down. He's intentional on, let's say like every quarter or every 3 weeks, like he takes time off, whatever that looks like. They see that, and some individuals can say, you know what, like I probably need to start doing that for myself as well. And that is one of the dangers with high achievers. We are Ferraris with no brakes.
Yeah, and we set the wrong example sometimes for our teams because we're going.
We go,
and people think that that's the right way to do it.
Mm-hmm. And that probably was something that worked. Your strength can be your kryptonite. Like what worked well for you in one season or stage in your life, if not careful, that can be your kryptonite. So, that going mentality, like maybe when you were just getting into your leadership role and you were trying to climb up the ranks, like that was what was needed. That was what was needed. But now in this season of your life, is that going mentality always needed? And is that sustainable? And does that serve you? Those are the questions I actually ask myself. And I would ask, the person that's listening, and whatever you're doing right now, how is this serving you? Is that sustainable to continue to keep doing it that way?
So role of the leader is to provide that encouragement, right? The red dot that you talked about, but really be connected. You've talked about connection and contribution a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a great friend of mine, and he says, connection plus challenge equals change. And that idea is generally around the notion that if you're going to challenge somebody, you have to be connected to them.
Mm-hmm.
And being connected to them is, again, a slow thing. It's something to slow things down. And I think a lot of leaders like to get right to the tape, right to the tail of the tape, right to the video and point things out. But connecting meaningfully with your team is really important before you do that. What are some ways that you found that leaders can slow themselves down to connect with their team before they begin?
How they can slow themselves down to connect with their team?
Yeah, before jumping into coaching opportunity.
Come in with curiosity, to open the floor up with just learning more about, let's say maybe there's a project or there's something that they're implementing into an organization and it's new. Before we dive into like what the plan is and what we're actually doing, like open the floor up to individuals to find out what are their thoughts about what we're operating and what we're doing. Whatever it is that we're laying out and rolling out. Asking them what would they like to share based off of the things that came up. Really just inviting and opening the space up for people to share what they want to share. Now, they can choose to share or not. That's on them. And as a leader, we have to also take into consideration there may be some things we don't want to hear. But that's been a part of a healthy team. It's not always going to be peaches and cream. So I would say that opening the floor up with inviting different perspectives, inviting thoughts based off of whatever the discussion may be. So my coach used to do this thing called locker before the huddle. So anytime a change was happening on the team, anytime he wanted to implement something, a new play, a new strategy, a new system, he would do locker before the huddle. And what locker before the huddle was, he would send the ideal out to the team beforehand and everybody could share their thoughts. And then he would collect that and we would come back in as a team and have a discussion. Here's why that was important. One, sometimes in organizations, when you have like the person that's used to talking a lot in meetings, if they end up sharing in the meeting right away without inviting the team's thoughts, if that one person ends up sharing, typically people will just go with what that person said. Like, oh, Edgar said it, so everybody else is going to kind of go with it. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I like what Edgar said. Number two is people can feel afraid or feel like what they're about to share is possibly stupid or it doesn't make sense. So what's the point of me sharing it? Or three, due to time that we have in a meeting or just a lot of things we got to cover, people's message can get missed. So what he would do at times, especially if he was really wanting to invite a different perspectives, was he would just send that question or the thought out to the team before the meeting and just collect people's perspective and what they had to share. So now he's really like taking into consideration of what the team has to share. Doesn't mean something's always going to get done. It doesn't mean that we're going to go with that. But I'm letting you know that A, I hear what you're saying, and then two, if there is something that's being shared that has my interest, that I'm going to say to that person that shared it, hey, either we're going to come back and discuss this down the road, but you have to come back and discuss it. You have to do that. Or B is, hey, right now, I don't think this is the proper time to do that, and here's why. But I'm giving you follow-up on like what was talked about, not just let me collect it and then I don't say anything.
Yeah, collect it and throw it in the garbage. And that's one of the things that's really important. Another thing that I want, so I think this relates to this point. Keep your commitment to yourself. So if you're going to ask for feedback, you have to use it. How often do you think that leaders need to remind themselves of the commitment? Because I think a lot of times we lose our way because we forget what we want. We forget what we've committed to. We forget even the implied promises that we've made along the way. Mm-hmm. Isn't that true?
Yeah. So is the question more so how as leaders do we remind ourselves of the commitment we kept to ourselves?
Yeah. How do you do it, Edgar? How do you do it now? How do you remind yourself of that commitment?
Yeah, I got something called 5 C's. It's my internal scoreboard. I realized that for myself, I don't need to be on the scoreboard of like 0 to a 10. Like, well, what is a 6 for me? So it's like it either needs to be a 0 or 1. Did it or did it not happen? Yes or no? Because in sports, like that's how. Like Edgar, did you make the tackle? Yes or no? Oh yeah, I made it. No, you missed it. Okay, why did you miss it? Let's talk about that. So I have the 5 C's, and this comes back to what we talked about with connecting. When you look at nature, there's 3 things that's happening on a continuous basis. Nature's always creating. It's connection, the connection piece. The rivers, the streams, like everything is connected. The root system, the trees. And then the other one is to be able to contribute. And I added 2 C's to that.
Kara here from The Kara Golden Show. If you're not using Ironclad for contracts, you could be leaving millions on the table. Ironclad's AI instantly surfaces what matters: renewal dates, pricing terms, and obligations, so you can act quickly before opportunities slip away. That's why they're trusted by great brands like OpenAI, L'Oreal, Salesforce, and so many others. Find the savings hiding in your contracts at ironcladapp.com/podcast. That's ironcladapp.com/podcast.
The other one is to contemplate, and the 5th one is to compete. So every day, I ask myself those 5 questions. Did we create today? And what creating looks like for me is to be able to create solutions to problems based off the talents and the gifts that's been given to me. Did I create through like coming up with a new playbook to better help leaders? Did I create by coming up with new content that I can now put out on LinkedIn, and leaders and managers can take it and they can apply it based off problems that they see in their day-to-day? So did we create? Did we take time to connect? Did I send a message? Did I send an email? Did I pick up the phone and call someone? Did I connect with the neighbor? Did I connect with the team member to let them know, hey man, thinking about you. I appreciate how you're showing up these past couple months. Here's why I appreciate you. So connect. Did I contribute to something that's bigger than me? So to me, this is the acts of service. Maybe I'm contributing by volunteering once a week or every month. Maybe I'm contributing by giving my time to a dear friend and helping out. Maybe I'm contributing by giving resources to a nonprofit. Did I contribute? Did I contribute to something that's bigger than me? The 4th one is to compete, physically just taking care of yourself. Did I compete by going for a walk? 30-minute walk. Did I compete by going to the gym to go work out? And then contemplate is to take time to sit and get still. Contemplate, to sit down and take time to get still. So for me, back to your question, to keep your commitments to yourself, like those are like my commitments. Like, hey, Edgar, did we do the 5 C's today? Okay, you didn't do 2 of them. Why is that? You didn't compete today because you just felt like it was better to sleep in with the family on Saturday and relax a little bit. That's fine. I can deal with that one.
Right.
That's okay. But
Right.
being able to have a scoreboard of these questions we can ask ourselves, for me, and that's what it's been.
And I love this other piece that you said real quickly, and I don't want to lose it, which was that it's a done, not done question. It's yes or no. Did I do this or did I not do this? And I think it's also really important that each of these words, creating, connection, contributing, contemplating, and competing, each one of them had a definition that went along with it. I think a lot of times we have these scoreboard items or values items or list items that we don't define really well. And you've really been careful to define each one of these things so that you can have a clear yes or a no.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't sound like you're beating yourself up when there's a no. You're curious. You're using that come in with curiosity, which is that leadership approach that you even talked about, locker before huddle, which is, hey, why? Why did that happen? What's behind it? Yeah. And I think that's also really important.
Yeah. We have to define things. In the NFL, and I hear a lot of people say this a lot about in life, just outside of the NFL, just in life in general. People always talk about, we're winning over here. You got to win. You got to win. Well, what does winning look like? And winning for you and winning for I and winning for the person that's listening, maybe 5 different things. So I've started to be more specific on like, hey, that's broad when I heard that. And how can we be more specific? So for me, that is winning. for the day, because I realized that if I was always basing my win off what someone else said a win would look like, again, I would be on the emotional roller coaster of these highs and lows of like, oh, I'm feeling great. But now, like, I don't know. Like in the moment, I felt good, but I don't really know if that was a win for me. So the 5 C's are my wins for today. Like that's a win for me. And that's worked well for me because for quite some time, I never defined that. And I want to be very clear with that. Like for a while, even when I retired, like I never defined like what winning looked like for me off the field.
Mm-hmm.
So now, because I've created this scoreboard, it's when I go into my day or at the end of the day, it's like, Edgar, did we win in these things? And all those things include family. They include business. They include friends. They include my health, like my temple. Like our body's been given to us for a reason, and it's our job to take care of it as much as I possibly can. Spiritually for me as well, contemplate. Like my journey through that is vital for me. It's been a pivotal part of my life. Like it encompasses all aspects of life.
So this year, well, not this year, late last year, you released the High Performance Reset, which is a great journaling guide. It was very similar to Paper Napkin Wisdom, your 5-step guide to life and business success, in the sense that you've got a number of journaling prompts and you've organized it in a beautiful 7-step guide. One of the things that I noticed that comes up is you've got this 3-3-3 as part of it. And it really hits me as to where some of this comes from now that I see your internal scoreboard around the 5 C's. That your 3-3-3 are gratitude, blessings, and vision. 3 times, what are the 3 things that you're grateful for right now? Who are 3 people you're sending love, prayers, or energy to? And what are 3 goals or outcomes you're visualizing is already done? Take a moment to feel each one. Don't just list them, see them. Feel your body shift when you think of that moment that you're grateful for. And, this is a very powerful tool because it really helps you visualize, see, and be what you're grateful for, the people around you, and what you're going for. What changed for you when you started to do this in your life?
The gratitude aspect of it, of really being grateful for the moments and the people, and realizing that there's so many things around us that we can be grateful for. So as I peel the layer of the onion back a little bit more with the gratitude of just seeing myself being in the moment, seeing myself with the family, seeing myself with a great friend, seeing myself have that difficult conversation, and it actually happened, and me being grateful for how I showed up and how that person showed up and how they responded. What it changed for me is rather than getting to the moment, I create the moment. Rather than getting to like that thing that I see as done in my business, or I see that difficult conversation happening 2 weeks from now. I know I need to have that difficult conversation, but I see myself getting prepared for the difficult conversation. I see myself calming myself down as I start to get nervous about the conversation. I see myself preparing, like I'm creating that moment right now. So when I get there, like it's just the cherry on the top, as I would call it. Because I would say that in the past for me, before I got to the moment, I never created the moment. So when I got to the moment, I really didn't appreciate the moment as much as I wanted to. So I kept chasing, but realizing like I need to create this right now by what I visualize, what I say, how I feel. Like, what do you feel like when you are doing that thing? Like, do you feel yourself being happy? Do you feel yourself smiling? Do you see yourself like calling your great friend and telling them about it? Like creating that environment for myself.
Yeah, and I love that you've paid that forward and taken that forward because, obviously you talked about December 1st, 2012, and how much that impacted you.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how you've been paying forward that moment, that reach out, that connection, that contribution, that moment to create the space to contemplate that and to give that in every moment. And I can feel that. And I love this idea that you're giving people tools to walk through life and not just walk through a play, and perform one
And
drill.
yeah, and I want to speak to journaling briefly. I've been journaling the last like 12 years. When I was playing ball, I journaled, and when I got out of ball, in therapy, that was something that was recommended to me quite a bit. And one of the things that I ran into with writing in the earlier stages was when I just opened up a notebook and it was blank, I didn't know what I wanted to write. I'm like, well, what do you write? And throughout this past couple of years, I started to create prompts that would guide me on the days that if I did not know what I wanted to write about. And I'm a firm believer, and it's in my opinion that when you've discovered things that's been helpful for you, that it's helped you in your life, we have to share it with the world. Now, sharing it with the world can be a friend, sharing it with the world can be a neighbor, sharing it with the world can be maybe you want to post it on social media, but there's someone that's waiting for something for you to share that could be very, very helpful for them. So for me, being a speaker and going on stage, yes, I design my messages and I have my keynotes and it's great, but what else am I giving to people that's an extension of what I speak and I talk about? That I've lived it out though. Like I know that journal. And the interesting thing about it is I have my own personal journal and I'm working through that reset right now. And it's still bringing things up for me. I think I just finished up prompt number 3, the other day. So I'm working through it right now. And before I gave it to the world, like when I got that, I worked through it on my own because I wanted to see like, how did it feel? What would come about? Is it something I really am ready to pass out and give to the world? So, there's something that each person that's listening to this podcast right now has navigated through, and they've been through it. You've been through it, which to go through something, if you've been through it, is past tense, which means it's happened. And with that being the case, it's important that we share and give it to someone that it could be helpful for them in their lives.
Yeah. I love that. And I so appreciate you. And it reminds me, and this is the point, I think if it was up to you and me, we would keep on going for hours, but this reminds me right now of a napkin we received 11 years ago from a great friend of the show. His name was John Rulin, and he shared, what you appreciate appreciates. And what he meant by that is when you appreciate someone or appreciate something, it goes up in value, not just for you, but for the world. Mm-hmm. And he turned that napkin and philosophy into a company called Giftology. He spread his message of appreciation and gratitude around the world. And he was suddenly taken from us all too early. He passed away suddenly about a year ago, just over a year ago. And ever since, we've been paying forward his message of appreciation by asking every guest to share some gratitude about somebody they appreciate. Give a shout out to somebody. So who would you like to shout out today, Edgar?
My wife. To love someone, even when they do things that you would say, I don't know if I even want to love this person right now, to choose to love them when they make things difficult. My wife did that and she continues to do that. And I remember like one of the questions I would ask her is like, why do you care so much? Like, why do you love me? And she would always respond with saying that, Edgar, I see so much in you. And in that moment, like, it just didn't make sense. I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, I get it. You see so much in me, but why? For her to choose to continue to support me and push me to become better for myself, when she did not have to. She just didn't have to. Like, I have pure gratitude for her and how she continues to show up for me and my family.
It's beautiful.
And she don't put over my crap.
Sometimes I say that leadership is treating people as they can be, not as they are. And truly, isn't that love in its highest form? And thank you, Edgar. I really appreciate you being here.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed this time, and hopefully you'll have me back down the road.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As we wrap up our conversation with Edgar Jones, you might notice there's a different kind of quiet inside you. Not an empty quiet, but the kind that comes from when something lands and asks to be lived. Edgar's napkin reminded us that we should keep our commitment to ourselves, that we will face it when it's worth it to us. Today, we heard about red dots and walkthroughs, Rottweilers and rehab, scoreboards and sobriety. And underneath it all was one simple invitation. When will you become worth it to you? Before we go, I want to give you 5 simple places to start that Edgar shared in our conversation. You don't have to take them all at once. Just notice which one is already tugging at you just a little bit. Stop outsourcing your commitment. Think of one change you've been making mostly for other people, and maybe write that commitment in your own words as something you're doing for you. Let recognition be a bonus, not oxygen. The red dot feels good, but it can't be your identity. And at the end of today, think about naming one win to yourself out loud without posting it, sharing it, or looking for an applause. Schedule a walkthrough, not just a performance. Winning seasons are built on slow motion rehearsals. Block off one walkthrough in your calendar this week, 30 to 60 minutes to slow down, review, and think instead of rush and react. Turn around and face the dog. Love this story. What chases you keeps its power until you stop running. So write down one fear, habit, or conversation that you've been avoiding and take one tiny step toward it. Send a text, book a call, or ask for help. Define your scoreboard for today. Look, if you don't decide what winning looks like, someone else will. So create a simply decided upon or daily checklist of 3 to 5 things that matter most to you. Maybe your own version of Edgar's 5 C's. And if you've forgotten what those are, they'll be in the show notes. And at the end of the day, just ask, did I do it? Yes or no? You don't have to do any of this perfectly. You just have to begin. And if this episode stirred something in you, grab a napkin and capture the one line, the one moment, the one image, the one question that you don't want to forget, and share it with someone who needs it. Or post it with everyone and use the hashtag Paper Napkin Wisdom. Because when we give away the wisdom we are living, we don't loosen it, we deepen it. Until next time, keep listening, keep reflecting, and keep your commitment to yourself. Because when it's truly worth it to you, that's when everything starts to change. Make it a great day.